What's up, everybody? This is the Jedi. First, I want to shout out to my Africa family. Those of you who are following me on Jedi Africa, my other YouTube channel. I told you of a debacle that I had recently with some stuff that I've been recording since going back to uh, May, and that I've been trying to get it out of my tablet some kind of way. Anyways, long story short, I was able to accomplish that. So I have major update. Ben had major updates, but now you will get a chance to see them, and I'm sharing that information with you. It is Monday evening. I should have that video up over there on Jedi Africa for you at some point tomorrow on Tuesday. So just look, just give myself a little wiggle room. I'll say Tuesday, Wednesday, though I fully intend to get it done tomorrow because it's in my computer now, and all I got to do is put the sections together, because it's several sections, and I can't release parts because you guys never watch parts. So this is partly your fault. Anyway, so that'll be up there tomorrow, inshallah. Now, why I'm doing this is because I was listening to Dick Gregory, Rahimahullah, and I had actually been researching this old case of this Secretary of Commerce that used to work for Sniper Fire and Bill Clinton. And, it somehow ended up on Dick Gregory. But he said something. And that's why I've named this video Hurricanes Are Punishment for Slavery, or Revenge for Slavery. It's one of those. And he said something. He said, he was just random. He said, that's why all hurricanes come from West Africa, and they start under the water and they follow the same route as the slave theft that went on. And because he says that many slaves were dropped off in the Caribbean first, that's why they usually hit the Caribbean first and then come to the U.S. And I just thought that would be perfect, the ancestors getting revenge. But I needed to follow up to see if what he was saying was true. Because y'all know Dick Gregory can stretch some stuff every once and again. We all know it now. Come on now. All right. God love him. And, but, and he's passed on now and all that. But, so anyway, while I was looking for an article to bring, which is what I have up on the screen now, and I haven't read it, but while I was trying to look for an article, another thought came into my mind, because I remember saying back in, 2005 or whenever it was, that Hurricane Katrina, it stood out to me too because they had named it Katrina, and I just always felt like that was a sister. I ain't really heard no other hurricane name that sounded like it could be a sister or a brother, quite frankly. But you'll recall that it turned, just so that everybody's clear, everybody, New Orleans was not hit by a hurricane. What was that, 2005? I feel like I want to do a search right now, but I got to have this up on the screen. Anyways, New Orleans was not hit by a damn hurricane. Everybody agrees. Go back and look. Go back and do your research and go back to the time and look at the weather reports and all that, and you will see that it turned. Remember, because they said they had dodged a bullet. And it was a raging hurricane. Oh my God, it was going to take out the entire earth. And oh my God, but it turned. They were not hit by a hurricane. I got to make sure I say that again. They blew up the levees. All that flooding and shit, that was after the white devil blew up the levees to flood our people out. It was just another white devil gentrification move. You understand? And in this case, it was done this way because many of those people there, no matter what the condition of the homes, they had owned those homes for many generations. So it wasn't like, you rent an apartment and your landlord is selling the building and shit, This is not. Anyway, so I thought it's so fitting if this is true, because that would make sense that the ancestors certainly wouldn't take out our people, And as I'm speaking to you now, it just occurs to me that when I think about hurricanes, I only think about white people. I really don't be thinking about it like, ooh, I never really even see black people when they're covering hurricanes. It's usually just white people. Anyway, so I think this is perfect if it's the truth. Now, most hurricanes that hit the U.S. start in the exact same location. Just weeks after Hurricane Harvey caused destruction in Texas, Irma has made landfall in Florida, and there are still almost 12 weeks left of Atlantic hurricane season. Remember, we know that, and this, by the way, this article is from 11th September 2017. They always refer to it as the Atlantic slave trade. Remember, there was no trade that went on, everybody. It was a fucking heist. White people don't trade, they don't bargain, they don't deal. They just theft, take, and kill. That's all they do. So the Atlantic slave theft. And so it says 12 weeks less of Atlantic hurricane season. It raises the question, where are all of these storms coming from? Research has shown, wait, I want you to see where I'm at. Research has shown that most of the monster storms that hit the US and Canada, start out as a distinct weather pattern in the atmosphere over West Africa, bitch. There it is. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I tell you all the time, I live in a spiritual consciousness. I always tell you, you're a spiritual being. You're just having a physical experience. And I always tell, even my openers always say, and now with his divine gifts from God and channeling the wisdom of the ancestors, you always hear me referring to the ancestors. I believe that. Our people have always acknowledged and believed that, that those who have gone on, we still have connection to, literally. So this totally fits, man. Wow. I just have to read it again. Research has shown, and we're not doing any research, so they have found out that most of the monster storms that hit this bitch and strike Canada, because no hurricanes are hitting Canada. All right, who's heard of a Canadian hurricane? Nobody. Start out as a distinct weather pattern in the atmosphere over West Africa, bitch. Specifically a spot off the coast of the African Cape Verde Islands. Wow. In fact, a 2015 study published in Geophysical Research Letters showed that By closely watching these tropical disturbances off the coast of West Africa, researchers could better predict which of them would turn into serious hurricanes a few weeks later. Just a second. You hear they say, by closely watching these tropical disturbances off the coast of, well, Africa ain't really tropical like that. You feel me? But I think that they use that as a reason to, that word is meant to distort and slightly deceive, but it's not the biggest fish in the barrel to shoot at. All right. 85% of the most intense hurricanes, 85% of the most intense revenge from our ancestors affecting this asshole, the devil, start off as disturbances in the atmosphere over Western Africa. Disturbances in the atmosphere. No, it's the anger of our ancestors and the wrath of God. That's what I believe. Said lead researcher Colin Price from Tel Aviv University, so it's a Zionist, in Israel at the time. There it is. We found that the larger the area covered by the disturbances, the higher the chance they would develop into hurricanes only 1 to 2 weeks later. Interestingly, these hurricanes are directly linked to one of the driest places on Earth, the Sahara Desert. That's its own little paragraph right there. Interestingly, these hurricanes are linked to one of the driest places on Earth. So out of a dry place, here comes these hurricanes. But wait, because again, you're listening to a man who is a Muslim, and Allah has told us everything. Do you understand? And I have brought you evidence. I have videos here on the channel. Go and look at some of my Islamic and my religious work. I have shown you, because we know from the Quran and from the statements of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that the Sahara used to be a oasis, and one of the prophecies of the end times is that it will be green again. Allahu Akbar. I've brought you that. But for now, it's dry. All right? And this is why they are perplexed by this, and I wouldn't be, because I know it's history, because God told me. And now you can go and find it out, but this is known to Muslims. So though it's dry now, there's even anyways, I can see now I'm going to do a whole piece on just that again. But anyway, the interaction between the hot, dry air of the Sahara and the cooler, more humid air from the Gulf of Guinea to its south forms what's known as the African easterly jet, which blows from east to west across Africa. Within this jet, atmospheric disturbances, or bands of thunderstorms, actively known as tropical waves, can form as they blow off the west coast of Africa past Cape Verde. The 2015 study showed that the amount of cloud coverage at that point can predict whether or not these tropical waves will become hurricanes a week or two later. How does this happen? Tropical waves interact with the warm equatorial water of the Atlantic as they head west, triggering columns of warm, moist air to rise from the ocean, and blah, blah, blah. This provides 2 of the 3 ingredients, blah, 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 and blah. Irma was first spotted, blah. According to Price, only 10% of the disturbances originating in Africa this year turn into hurricanes, but ones that do, ba, 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 not all hurricanes. Researchers around the world, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, blah. So this is now a fact. So as far as I am concerned, or as far as I am concerned, I have some concern. So as far as I am concerned, I've got to work on my fake African accent. As far as I am concerned, this is a fact. And I attribute this to the ancestors. That indeed it is the wrath, the revenge of the ancestors and the wrath of God where we see these hurricanes. And while I'm sure there's some numbers to be had of how many African people have been affected by hurricanes, some hurricane in the past or something like that, we typically know this to be something that gets white people, that takes out their houses, takes out everything, and so that's perfect. I just need to know now, and I'll see if I can pause this, y'all. I want to see if I can get you some evidence now that indeed the path that the hurricanes take is the same as the Atlantic slave heist. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put a pause right here. Okay, hopefully I did that right. Mount Calvert, hurricanes follow the path of... We'll just click on that. Just a second. Let me go back. What did that one say? Hurricanes and African slave trade. What's real? The whisper says click on that one first. Hurricanes and African slave heist. What's real? Remember, how we think and speak is how we relate and react. There was not a trade going on, everybody. You understand? The recent hurricane season has captured the world's attention. When is this from? This is from 3 years ago. It just says 3 years ago. I don't see a date. Has captured the world's attention and have us all questioning what the experts really know. If anything, let me just scan this because I want to get to because I don't know how much time this is going to let me record. Blah, 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 blah. Something about spirit. What I see, spirit. Releasing the spirit of her. Wait, I have to read that. Which leads me to ask, why would one believe? Just a second. Damn it. Have us all questioning what the experts really know. If anything, all and the talk. Hurricanes and slavery. Which leads me to ask, why would one believe such as story as, I think they meant such a story as, Africans being angry hundreds of years later and showing the anger by releasing the spirit of a horrible hurricane to destroy and take lives all over these years. That's definitely a white devil writing. You know, it's like, because there's no way that would happen. There's no way. As your house is taken out by a fucking hurricane, bitch. The only correlation I have found, but there was a correlation, that's an admission, was that both had the same start. It has been proven that hurricanes that most are formed around the coast. Africa, there's too many typos going on here. This person is so in their ass hurt over the shit that they can't even type. So we're abandoning this one and going back to the first one. I'm over it. This is from 2019. Mount Calvert, hurricanes follow the paths of slave ships. Some say that hurricanes follow the paths of slave ships. 9 years ago, and I don't know how well this is showing up for y'all. 9 years ago, the actions of the slave dwelling project were haphazard. I learned as I went. It was a crazy idea to spend nights in exact slave dwellings in the state of South Carolina. By that time in my life, I was well into Civil War reenacting. This is a white devil. Being a reenactor gave me access to historic battlefields, reenacting battlefields that changed the course of this nation's history. Oftentimes, I spent nights at these Civil War battlefields. The Slave Dwelling project was based on the concept of spending nights at historic places by simply substituting slave dwelling for battlefields. I spend nights at historic properties that say yes to my unusual request. Let's get to moving. The haphazardness, blah, blah, blah. We have a planning team. Something high volume, such planning, blah, blah, blah. Plan to the teeth, blah, blah. And then it happened. Hurricane Dorian, it seemed. Get rid of this shit there. Get the fuck. With Hurricane Dorian threatening American Airline Friday. Come on, man. My house only had a few shingles blown off the roof as a result of getting late. According to its website, Mount Calvert Ridge archaeological and historical resources represent over 8,000 years of human culture. Indians were present, blah, 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 blah. Big house. Woodland Indians farmed the land and lived villages along the river until 1600s when the White Devils arrived. Engaging in campfire has become the nation's leading cutting-edge network. Connections, outdoor Afro. Come on, man. I need to pause y'all again. Okay. Yes, some say that hurricanes follow the paths of slave ships. I wonder how many Africans found their graves at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. How many gene pools eliminated? How many opportunities for those beautiful people to make this nation even greater through their exploited labor? No, not even greater, as if it was great before the fuck we got here. No, bitch, it was a shithole until we got here. You see, white ass writer. You see, while trying to be compassionate and nice, I just lost a tooth because they don't have that capability. But acting as if they're trying to be compassionate and understanding, I can't. Despite our meticulous planning, Hurricane Dorian tried to steal our joy. Many historic sites. Okay, well, wait, is that all you're going to tell me? All right, we're going to another article. Hold up, y'all. Let me put you on pause again. Okay. This one, I think. Juneteenth slavery and the hurricane connection. My ancestors were taken from their land, packed into ships, and forced to work as slaves early in American history. Many of them perished along the way from the horrific conditions of those ships, those slave ships. I'm sorry if that's hard for you. Fuck that. No apologies, bitch. Like, no more apologizing for speaking our truth and telling what is. You see, who's the fucker that's saying this? Marshall. You see what I'm saying? A scary ass Negro. You understand? You just say the shit and you don't give a fuck how they feel, think, or anything. That's where we got to get to, everybody. I keep telling you that. This is a waste of fucking ink for how many lines? I'm sorry, but and I fuck you. Facts that should not be hidden and blah, blah, blah. In meteorological studies, we learn so much from looking back at past storms. Retrospective analysis is probably a good thing for society, too. This week, Croak Today Joe signed an overwhelming bipartisan bill designating Juneteenth as a federal holiday, what is Juneteenth and why is there a connection to hurricanes? All right, we don't need to read about fucking Juneteenth. We know what it is. Perfect. This brings me back to hurricanes. So whatever they were saying before, nobody cares. All right, I was poking around on the National Hurricane Center webpage because at the time of writing, there's a tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico that could further develop into a named storm by Juneteenth. Even if it does not receive a name, it will be significant rainfall producer in parts of the southeast, so people along the Gulf Coast should monitor the evolving situation. Ironically, this region of the country, including Galveston, is the region where the atrocity of slavery thrived. But remember, it was all over this bitch. We're not here for this north and south bullshit. Wherever white people were, we had problems. You understand? If you want to say the main hub was in the South, I can allow it, but wasn't exclusive to the South. We were slaves all over this bitch. Digging deeper into the National Hurricane Center website, this entry in a section discussing notable ship interactions with hurricanes caught my eye. Virgin Islands, 1316, August 1793 reports of 28 of 42 slaves lost, 28 of 42 lost, with the additional loss of some crew on board. The Bristol. There are also indicators of 3 slave-bearing vessels from Africa also lost in this hurricane. Many of the transatlantic slave routes overlapped with the climatological tracks of late-season Atlantic hurricanes. There it is. Those storms typically emerge from the African coast as clusters of storms, some of them become hurricanes. Many of those hurricanes make landfall in the Caribbean and in this asshole the devil, just as those ships of torture did. While many folk tales exist within the black community about slaves and hurricanes, it is clear to me that the aforementioned ship loss would have been far from an isolated event. I also cannot help but think that the rainfall in the various hurricanes and tropical storms over the years symbolically represents the tears of my former ancestors. Now, ain't no former ancestors. They're your current ancestors, dumbass. Represents the tears of my ancestors. However, rainfall also brings forth new beginnings too. That was for the fucking white people, that new beginnings bullshit. Fuck you. Die off. So we don't need to hammer this, with, a rake and a nail and anything else, quite frankly. I say hurricanes are revenge of our ancestors and the wrath of God upon white people for the evil of slavery and the evil that they continue to do. And I seal my statement by repeating what I said earlier. For me, this is the missing link to a piece of a puzzle that I sort of knew that I was holding, but I didn't know why. And that is that the atrocity that went on with Katrina was an atrocity because of white people. You saw how they treated us. I don't need to relitigate that. But no hurricane hit New Orleans or Louisiana. I can't ever get it. Just New Orleans. All right. They blew up the levees to flood that city out. Proof of the crime is people who didn't even have any damage to their home weren't allowed to come back. That's what it is. And we pray that as time marches on, that the Creator uses his infinite power to continue to make suffrage for white people and to end their reign of terror upon humanity. I shall see you all over the next couple of days, everybody, God willing. Again, to those of you who follow me on Jedi Africa, do be looking for that new video that I should have up tomorrow, at the very latest on Wednesday. I love you all. I'll see you soon.